Hello, my good people. We are now continuing with our revision as usual. And today we are going to this topic, correction of errors and suspense account. And from that topic, we are going to answer all these questions which were tested in ATD. All these questions came from ATD 1, that is August 2023. So I'm going to answer all those questions that were tested from the correction of errors. So before we start looking at one, then you know what is errors. So it was asked that use the following information to answer questions 14 to question 18. You are reviewing the books of Mambo Limited, and in the process, you have identified the following errors in its books of accounts: error of reversal, error of original entry, transposition error, error of omission, error of principle. Match the errors committed with the statement that best identifies them. So, question 14, there is an invoice is entered in the accounts receivables, and those are the figures given and the choices to select. Then 15 also has given a certain information and the choices to select. 16, the same information is there and the choices to select. 17, again, also we have the question and the answers. So you have to select which one for A, B, C, D. Question 18, the accountant recorded 60. Then you're given the answers is there to answer. You have to choose which one is the correct one. Then now we have the last one. The trial balance of mutual enterprise failed to agree. On further investigation, the following errors were discovered. So you're given two information there, and you have been asked to calculate something there so that you can get which answer is the one to be recorded. So always you know that these errors, they normally occur when the double entry is being made. So when you're doing the double entry is when you're carrying these errors. So errors normally occurs during double entry. So when we're making the double entry into your ledger account, and they already remember the double entry we did, so you can go again and review how we did it during double entry into ledger's account. So that is when the errors are taking place. And we normally say that these errors, that is how they are being divided. So we can say that we have errors which you can make, but your trial balance still balances. So errors that doesn't affect trial balance. So that means you make them and your trial balance can still go there and balances. So you have to know them. Then we have errors which affect trial balance. That means if you make them, there is no way your trial balance will balances, e.g. single entry into the ledger. So make sure that a transaction must be recorded twice, both on the debit and the credit. So that if you make a mistake that it is only debit, then you ignore the credit, a certain figure is remaining somewhere hanging. So, and always the errors already have been given here. the majority of errors which are here, all these errors which you can we see here, these are the one that normally doesn't affect the trial balance. So that's the one that has been tested there. So let's now test answering them one by one. So number 14 says now, invoice is entered in the account receivable as 71,000 instead of 17,000. So the invoice of your receivable came, and the value that was there in the invoice is 71. The amount in the invoice is 17, but the person who was recording it in the ledger recorded it is as 71,000. So you're given the error of principal, error of original entry, error of reversal, error of commission. So if I look about the error of principal, then I look about the error of original entry, error of reversal, and error of commission. So that means this question is testing you if you know the meaning of these errors. So if you know the meaning of the errors, you'll be able to answer that question. So the amount here is saying that account receivables is the invoice, which is 17,000, but recorded at 71,000. So you normally have that error, normally known that error of commission. So an error of commission may occur when a transaction is posted correctly but wrong amount. So economy meaning wrong amount. Again, occurs when a transaction posted correctly but on the wrong account of the same class. Maybe data and another data, or an invoice like this one. This is an invoice. So the amount is 17, but being recorded as 71,000. So commission occur when a transaction is posted correctly, but wrong amount. So in this question, that this was the correct answer, correct choice D. So a student should have gone with the choice D. So that was the answer that you're supposed to go with in that account or in that question. Then the next one, I'll say that the accountant has not included stationery. Included means it has been omitted. Has not included stationery worth 10,000 in the books. So not included means what? Not included means it was omitted in the books. So that means we can have the error of omission. So you can check if there is an error of omission from this one. So commission, original entry, commission, then transposition. So the correct answer was choice C. error of omission, error of omission. Then 16 says the accountant entered wages payable as 76,890 instead of 67,980. So if you see the figures are being, I don't know how to say that, they are mixed up. So if figures are mixed up, that means transaction has been transposed. So that means that transposed means transposition. So that is error of transposition. So you can try to see if there is something like that one in the question. So error of principal, transposition, error of reversal, and error of original entry. So the correct answer is transposition. The figures has been changed. Something has been interfered in between the figures. So that is transposition. So that was the answer that we're supposed to say there. Then 17 says the accountant entered 36,000 used to pay for the owner's dowry as a business expense. So remember, this person is bringing something outside, which is personal, into the business. Okay, so the personal things, that means you are violating. So personal transaction entered as a business means violating the principle of accounting standard. The accounting standards say that only things belong to the business should be recorded into the business. Whatever is your personal, keep it out of your business. So I'll go with the term principle here so that I try to check, do we have the error of principle? Yes. So the error of principle was violated by bringing that personal thing into the business. So the correct answer was choice B. Then you have number 18. The accountant recorded 60,000 in accounts payable instead of account receivable. So the accountant recorded 60,000 in accounts payable instead of account receivables. That amount is supposed to go to account receivables, but it was recorded in the accounts payable account. So if you check, the transposition cannot be that one. The principle has not been violated in that question. There is nothing that has been omitted. So it is just the reversal. You reverse it from accounts payable to accounts, from account receivables to accounts payable. So the correct answer is choice D, error of reversal. Error of reversal. So That is how you will be able to answer those ones. So always know that anytime you are making the errors, you're trying to correct the errors, you normally correct the errors using the journal entries so that you try to see where the error was and how do I record it. And after recording it, now you can try to balance it with your trial balance, the suspense account. So let's see what has happened into this transaction in number 30. They say that the trial balance of Me2 Enterprises failed to agree. On further investigation, the following errors were discovered. So the purchases were undercast by 315, sales undercast by 216,500. The difference was transferred to a suspense account. What was the balance on the suspense account? So like I say, you have to prepare the journal entries first so that you try to see where the problem is. And also when you're making this journal entries, make sure that the rule of double entry and how the error took place must be on your fingerprint so that you have to know the rule of double entry. Was it to be debited or credited? So I can say here is credit. Then I can say here's debit. So my transactions can appear here. So what has been said in the first transaction, purchases were undercast. Always know that when you are buying your stock to the business, the stock always has to be debited in the purchases account. Always. There is no any single day the value should appear on the credit side of the purchases when you are buying them. So when you are recording them inside your debit side, you have to record them with the correct amount. And now you say that it was undercast. Undercast means that maybe the purchases is 50,000. So undercast must be recorded below the 50,000. And maybe you recorded only 40,000. So how much was not recorded on the debit side? The difference. The undercast here is the difference between that one and that one. So that means an undercast value was not posted on the debit side of the purchase account. So I can say here purchases. So the undercast value is 315. So from that transaction, I have already debited my purchases, but I have to pass the double entry rule. So it was undercast. I don't know which account again that was undercast or anything, how that happened. So I'm being left suspend something that I don't know what information. So that now I bring my suspense account here. So because the purchases has taken the debit, so the suspense will take the credit, the same amount to pass that journal. So that one already recorded. The second one is telling me that sales undercast buys. Again, the sales account has been undercast. And remember, the sales is an income. Anytime you are recording the values in the sales account, it has to be credited. So they did credit by 216,500. So that my sales account has to be credited by 216,500. Then because I don't know how the reason why I arrived to that undercast, I just transferred it to my suspense. So this time now suspense will take that value to the debit because the credit has been taken by sales. 500. And those are the only two transactions that were there. If there are many, that is how you can do it, correcting them that way until you finish all those. So after finishing, you have to draw your trial balance, the suspense account. So I can just come here and say suspense. account. So you can just try to make it double the T account. So that is my suspense account. So first of all, you can come here, you see, in the first transaction, I have purchases and I have suspense. So if you have in the one transaction, you have purchases and the suspense, that means you have to transfer that amount into the suspense account. If this could be purchases and this one could be cash, there is nothing to be transferred. So here I have the suspense and the suspense is now appearing on the credit side. So I take that amount from to the credit side, but the source is purchases. So I can say here it is purchases that transfer that amount into the credit side of the suspense, 315. Then the sales and suspense, yes, you also have the suspense, but the suspense this time is on the debit from the sales. So say sales, the amount is 216, 500. Then I can try to see where I've not given the value that the difference from the trial balance that make them the error, but we are saying that the difference was transferred to a suspense account. What was the balance? That means I have to get the balance in now this account to get that amount that is the difference. So if I check my debit, I have 216. If I check my credit, I have 315. So the credit is the highest figure. So let's balance it off with the highest figure, the way we did there yesterday by double entry. So I have 315 as my highest figure here. So there is a figure which is missing that if I take this one plus that one amount will give me this 315. So I get the difference between the two. This one minus this one. And I get 98,500 on the debit side. So the balance is on the debit. So 98,500 is on the debit. I come to my choices. That one, there is nothing. 98,500 debit. This is the correct answer. So that's how you can do your journal entries, the suspense account, and the errors. So you have to know those errors and their meanings, so that in any question that they will come again, you'll be able to answer them without any failure. So I have answered that part of the correction of errors and the suspense account that was tested in ATD1 August 2023 from question 14 to question 18. Then they go again to question 30th for the suspense. So that's all. Thank you for watching. And I know you are my good students now, and you are subscribing, you are sharing my things, you are liking when I posted them. And I hope you are going to pass very well, because this revision is more useful for you and it is making your work so easier. So let's stop there. We'll continue in the next class. So the next class I will do accounts receivables. It was tested everywhere, account receivables. So in account receivables, we have a lot of things. That is the bad debts, the discount allowed, allowance for doubtful debts, how to recognize them in the balance sheet, in the income statement. So the mostly question was stated there. So you look about account receivables and depreciation. I'll combine the two, and depreciation. So that is the next video. So keep in time before your exam. So that is the next video. So thank you for watching. See you when we see me.